And welcome back to Co-Work Radio here on KZSB 1290 AM. I'm Catherine Raymock.
And I'm Jane Walker-Wood.
And we're a show all about the modern entrepreneur. Each week we interview two company founders.
And today we have in the studio with us Pia Dorer. And Pia is founder and CEO of Orange Identity, which is a communications firm with offices in California and Australia. How are you doing, Pia?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Are you living mostly in Australia now? Love your accent, by the way.
Thank you. I actually am these days. I come out about 3 to 4 times a year to the USA to visit clients and do work. But due to grandchildren and marrying an Australian that I met in Colorado, the grandparents won the battle to have them back in Australia.
What's the origin of the name, or what's the significance of Orange?
It came from a base of color psychology in branding, and we kind of thought about different colors and what we really felt aligned with us, and orange was something we loved. And as we started to look at different names that were available, it's so hard these days to look at name availability for businesses and then to have the forward thinking of correlating that across your social media channels, your websites, and all communication touch points. And we started to think about it, and we thought Orange Identity. And then as we thought about it, we're like, oi. And in Australia and in England, oi is actually a call to attention. It's often used at sports games. You'll hear Aussie, 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 oi, 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 Aussie, oi. And so it's a call to attention. It can also be a warning, but it's used traditionally as an attention call and derived from England originally. So we thought, that's exactly what it is. We are calling attention to brands. We're calling attention to whatever a particular client is wanting to amplify in their brand. And sometimes we're also using the oi as a warning sign. We have a department where we also work with mitigating risk, mergers and acquisitions, deflecting attention from a brand when needed as well.
Now, I can imagine there's a lot of difficulties working between Australia and California. What are some of the advantages it gives you over other companies having the two locations?
The best advantage is that our clients actually have about a 20-hour workday. So we have a team on the ground in Santa Barbara, and then we also have a team in Australia. But what it means is that our Santa Barbara team, sometimes if it's a morning meeting that needs to be picked up or something urgent to go out in the morning, they handle it. But often with companies, we find that people have their business day and they get to their new business needs often at the end of the day once their meetings have happened. And they're like, oh my gosh, we need to update that, or we need that, or we need a piece of marketing material for that, or we need to change that. And that comes at the 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock or later, depending on the company. Now, at that time, we're in the middle of our workday. So we take it, and by the morning, that change or that piece of material is either started or completed. So it's actually an incredible benefit, and the team works really well together. The teams from both sides have met each other, and we are all good friends and industry colleagues, so it works pretty flawlessly, actually.
Sometimes a brand is actually a person. The first time I met
Correct.
you, it was a surfer, Lakey Peterson, who's fantastic, by the way.
She's adorable. Yeah. She's amazing.
What kinds of is that more difficult, less difficult? How does that work when the person is actually the brand?
It's actually interesting because we're actually branding an author at the moment and a motivational speaker. I don't think it differs too differently. We have to treat people as brands, and we have to think about every level of how they develop a brand platform and every communication level on the same. What are their goals? What are they trying to achieve? Why do they exist? And I think so many companies start with the what we do, and people start with what we do, what we are. But that is actually not the base. It is why. Why do you exist? What do you why are you here? And I think that's the same with a personal brand. And people who do or have their own brands often skip that pivotal step of building a brand platform because they don't think it's as important because it's just about them. They are the brand platform. But it's really important to really uncover what you stand for and why you're evolving a brand out of yourself.
Give us a success story of somebody that maybe before they came to you had their brand and they were doing the what, and then they came to you and things turned around when they did the why. Do you have any offhand?
Yeah, we've been working quite closely with a company called Morton Capital out of Calabasas, and they've been around for a long time. Lon Morton, the founder, recently passed away in April, very sadly, but they have been around for a long time and did independent wealth advisory services very, very well. But we recently came on and did an entire brand platform with them this year. And then that is now going into all of the communication touchpoint rollouts. And they have repeatedly come back to us and said that the new brand platform and the way that they have been able to articulate their brand and speak to their clients, it is actually bettering the lives of their clients. And their clients are coming back saying one of their clients actually carries around a tagline that we developed in her wallet as her mantra, which is get the most life out of your wealth. And that mantra actually just gets carried with her, and she said that was a life-changing mantra when they actually said that to her. And they said, this brand is so much more. It is changing the lives of our clients, and we see that every day. And they're great. They actually give those stories back to us,
We've had a few branding experts in here, like Angel Martinez was in, and one thing that keeps coming up is a lot of people have trouble explaining what it is they do simply and in a few words. How do you help clients figure out what their log line is?
Well, we start off with new clients, we start off doing something called a brand health check, where we really go 30,000 feet up and take a look at who their company is. And that part of that experience for us is also making sure that the client aligns with our values and that we align with them. And it's a great exercise. It's a paid exercise, but at the end of it, everyone gets value out of it, and we can actually decide if we're the right people to move forward. And from that, we move forward into deep dive discovery sessions. That includes interviews with stakeholders of all levels, inside and outside. And we start to really listen and distill why, going back again to the why, not the how and the what, because that comes at the end of it. And just really distilling it and not being everything to everyone, and also not being in the middle of a battle with other companies for the same territory, standing alone and not competing. There's a great book called Blue Ocean Strategy that's all about that, basically uncontested marketplace. And we try to really get that from our clients and say, how are you different? Don't compete against other people. You never win that way.
So you actually have the option to say no to people and companies. And do you find yourself doing that very often?
We have a lot of referrals that we would send people through to, forwarded on the ones that they didn't, then everything would just operate so much smoother, because I think it's absolutely integral to feel deeply connected to the agency that is expressing your brand communications.
Now, as people are moving away from marketing and advertising on traditional media like television, what are the different challenges you're facing in creating ads and marketing tools for social media?
I think the speed that social media moves at, even for us, we often have partnership arms that we work with depending on the campaign and the campaign needs, and also the target demographic. Which communication channels within a social environment is applicable for a 20-year-old on a campaign that is sportswear versus a social media campaign for a wealth management group where their target group is 50 to 65 radically changes. So I think the challenges are really just listening very carefully to the client and making sure we understand the audience that they're going to. And then for us ourselves, we go to experts to ask, what's the best? What's the latest? Because that world moves so fast, and you all have to be, you have to be experts in so many areas today. So
we found that out when we started the show, when we were looking at website templates and how much they have changed just over the last couple of years. And so I know a lot of it is messaging, but also in the visual aspect, the color and the logo and things like that. That does seem like it's something, I guess, unless you stumble upon what Nike did, it has to change as the years go by. Do you have to? Do
you mean the branding side?
Yeah.
Or I remember something that I heard many years ago, and it's something that I'd tell to every company out there, and it was, it is the best brands in the world. Their logo should be able to be drawn and remembered by an 8-year-old. Mm-hmm. And we think of things like the Apple icon, we think of Target, we think of Nike, and I never forget that. And it's something that I bring up routinely in branding with all clients. That is the premise. It should be able to be drawn and remembered by an 8-year-old.
That is so interesting, because I read about the Nike swoosh, that was actually designed by a college student. They gave him $25.
Oh, wow. Some of the best stories are on that.
Yeah.
And before we let you go, just a couple of questions for people that are listening and maybe would like to do their own marketing. Do you have certain blogs or resources for anyone that you would recommend?
Yeah, I'm really into podcasts at the moment, and I love Entrepreneur Magazine, and they have a great podcast there. Inside Strategic Coach, I absolutely love. How to Be Awesome at Your Job, The Deliberate Creative, Invisible Office Hours. I think a big call out is to remember that the company starts from the inside, so there's a lot of blogs that are really essential to listen to on culture and building the right way. For books, there's a great one, Blue Ocean Strategy, which is all about uncontested market space. The Startup Playbook, incredible book, short, digestible, insightful interviews by some of the most well-known startups in the world. Traction, and anything by Seth Godin. He wrote a recent one, All Marketers Tell Stories. At the end of the day, we're all storytellers. So get out there and take a look at, there's some amazing blogs and books out there.
If somebody wants to find out more about your story and get a hold of you, they do so where?
They do so at sayoi, sayoi.com, sayoi.com.
All right, let's all do oys. Oi, oi. Once again, Pia, thank you so much for joining us here on Cowork Radio. You can follow us on social media, listen to episodes on coworkradio.com, iTunes, and iHeartRadio, and we'll be back right after this.